From Facebook groups to Fortune, how Rick Johnson cracked the code for commercial clients.
Welcome to the Modern Insurance Agent Podcast.
We're your host, David and Al Denning.
What happens when a millennial couple dives headfirst into the insurance world, scales $1 million remote business, and decides to share the journey with the world?
You get the Modern Insurance Agent.
Here, we reveal the messy, magical, and sometimes hilarious realities of building a business and a life you love.
From traveling the globe to building remote teams. Yes, even working remotely on top of a mountain in the Philippines. We're sharing insights, strategies, and plenty of laughs to help agents and entrepreneurs succeed.
Because, let's face it, success isn't just about hitting numbers.
It's about designing a life that works for you.
So let's dive in and build something extraordinary together.
Welcome back to the Modern Insurance Agent Podcast. If you've ever wondered how to stand out in a crowded market, build a commercial book, and actually enjoy marketing, you're going to love today's episode. But before we dive in, you can get all the resources we got for you. You can get all the show notes, all the goodies, as well as how to connect with our guest if you go to jumpstartgonow.com/podcast. So go grab everything there as we get ready to dive in. So today our guest is Rick Johnson. He runs Contractors Insurance Group and specializes in helping commercial and residential contractors protect what they've built. He's gone all in on automation, lead magnets, and his own Facebook community to drive business. And today we're diving into how he did it and what agents need to learn to keep up. So let's get into it. Welcome to the show, Rick.
Hey, David. Glad to be here.
Awesome, man. I'm excited to have you on. I know you've done such really incredible things in this space, and this is actually one of the spaces I got my start in originally from the construction engineering side and the contracting side on there. And we built kind of the boring stuff, power plants, water treatment and stuff, but definitely from knowing what goes on in that space and just how important, especially having the right protection is, and even the cost associated with that into winning jobs and a lot of different stuff there too. So I'm excited to dive in. So tell me a little bit, like most people don't dream of being astronauts, pro ball players, or selling insurance when they grow up. So how did you get into insurance in the first place? And then also, how did you identify contractors as a niche?
Yeah. So I've been in insurance I've been licensed since 2015. Kind of got my start because, I didn't really have I didn't have anything else going on. You know, at the time I was a waiter and I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. And my dad's been in insurance for about 30, maybe going on 35 years now. And so I just decided to kind of go that path. And so I got licensed in 2015, started working for State Farm for an insurance agent out in Houston, hopped around to a couple different State Farm agencies. And then in 2019 went independent, kind of got my feet wet in the independent insurance world, still kind of doing mostly like, personal insurance, home and auto, pet insurance, motorcycle, that kind of thing. And then in 2022, I actually went fully independent, opened my agency. Didn't quite know what I wanted to do and how I wanted to do it. I just knew I was good at selling and I didn't want to work for anybody else. And I came across Jumpstart Go. I came across you guys probably early 2022. I was following your Facebook group for about maybe solid 9 months or maybe even longer before I decided to actually hop on and get started with the Closer Click. And, from there, I've rebranded a couple of times. I didn't start with contractors. I actually started with first-time home buyers because that's what I was more experienced in. Just home insurance and auto and that kind of thing. And then I rebranded to, just kind of business owners, just in general. Found that I really liked working with contractors. And to me, it's just, it just makes sense to go that route. And so it's kind of like a sub niche within the business owner niche, right? And so, that started back in, I think, late 2023. It was about 6 months after I 6-7 months after I started with the Closers Click. And we've been growing ever since, man. I mean, it's been a wild ride. It's been great.
I love it. And you mentioned you liked working with the contractors that you found out. What did you like about the audience and about that niche and about helping them?
Well, I moved to Austin so I lived in Houston for the first 32 years of my life. Moved to Austin in late 2021. Now, as you know, Austin is, I mean, absolutely exploding in population growth. I mean, everybody wants to move to Austin, right? And so everywhere I went, there's new houses going up, new apartment buildings going up. And so, what I really saw myself is being able to help those people who are building this city. And really help them protect their business and, so they can get where they want to be. Because ultimately as an insurance agent, right, I mean, that's our job, right? We're trying to help people protect what they have, protect what they've built, so that they can, so they can actually get where they want to be in their life and their business.
Absolutely. And, with that, kind of going through from business owner and then, kind of narrowing it down to like contractors specifically being like specialty focus and who you help a ton. Like a lot of agents fear niching down a little bit and feel like they're going to be missing out and maybe not have enough opportunities to stay afloat. How did it actually help unlock more opportunities for you by really determining a niche?
Yeah, and that's actually a great point, David, because I was a little skeptical at first myself. I thought, well, if I'm not this general insurance agent that can help anybody, which, I mean, at the end of the day, I can, right? If you're not a contractor, I can still help you.
Yeah.
But what I found when I started niching down is that, and when I actually niched down to contractors, is that you kind of build like an air of authority, so to speak, in that niche, right? And people, they identify with that. They, you're not just this generalized insurance agent, run of the mill, like, oh yeah, I can quote anything you want, whatever you want. I've specialized in this one area, and so I've built that authority, so that when contractors need insurance, they come to me.
I love that. It's really that air of authority, being seen as the expert and like, oh, us and our problems and our pain points and what we need better than the general agent that really knows nothing about our space or just kind of does everybody, right? And so it's great because like you get to be known as the go-to for that, and people reach out and refer for it, which is fantastic. And so how do you structure, what you're doing, what you're saying and everything so that they see you as their guy and that, oh, this guy gets us, understands us, and like, oh, is and probably who we should connect with. What does that kind of translate to?
Well, so I think what it boils down to is that, when I niche down to contractors, I mean, the way I advertise is I advertise to contractors as well. So whenever I'm creating a post, whenever I create something, maybe in Canva or, go to Fiverr and have somebody design something for me, it's always with that in mind. What can I say? How can I say it to make contractors identify with that?
I love that. Like, once again, like knowing your target audience and what they need and speaking their language, right? Like using some of the jargon, right? Like, you know what surety is, the general liability, my fleet, hey, these trucks got to get back and forth to job sites all the time. Like this is why we need this, in place. And you get that, what that looks like as I expand my business and I need more trucks and stuff like that. So I love that. And so kind of moving into like, running things efficiently, right? And putting things in place and how you get so much done. You talked about how high level and automations made like a big difference. How are you using it to follow up, close more, and save yourself a lot of time?
Oh yeah, man, I love this subject because I have built out my my CRM, the automations for text messages, emails. I mean, you can ask Jason, man. I have absolutely built that thing out. So that it really does just about anything I want. So, and the reason I saw a lot of value in that is because for the first 7-8 years of my career, I was doing everything manually. And it's just, it's not that it's hard. It's just that it's time consuming to do everything manually. Right. And, you can't get as much done, when you're just having to manually call people, manually text message, write out an email, say, hey, what's going on? What are we going to do here? Or do you want to, look at some different options, that kind of thing. And so when I started using automations, it really freed up my schedule to focus more on the bottom line of my business, which is getting more clients in the door.
Freeing up time so you can better serve your clients. And
That's it.
And so what are some of those tasks that you used to do manually that now are handled for you that you've built out?
Emails, text messages. I hardly ever, not hardly ever, I maybe write 2 or 3 manual emails a day now, whereas before it was maybe 20 or 30, and that takes a long time. It's, if you think about it, right, you write out an email, it takes, let's say, 5 minutes per email. If you're doing that 20 times a day, it's 100 minutes, an hour and 40 minutes, just dedicated to writing emails, where I could be, using that time to market, to try and reach more people. And so, you take you take a few hours or a couple of days to do all this stuff in advance, and you create these campaigns so that you don't have to do it again in the future.
I love that. And if someone's like listening, like, hey, I still use my pen and paper, and they want to start to systematize their follow-up, their process, like, what's a good first step? Like, for them starting to move a little bit in the 21st century with what they're doing.
Well, I'd say the first step is getting rid of that pen and paper.
Absolutely. And like, so for you, was it a shift into using like a lead management system? And, was that like a learning curve for you, or is like, hey, this is pretty exciting, and, found it kind of intuitive?
It's very intuitive. It's very intuitive. But yeah, I mean, I've had some experience with different CRMs in the past. I'm very proficient with Salesforce, for example, but Salesforce doesn't really have that automation that takes workload off your plate, right? I mean, it's very good at reminding you when you need to do something, right? But does it do it for you? No, it doesn't.
And with kind of like as it's become more and more popular and is lightning fast as far as the kind of changes it's making today right now, in addition to like the management side, like, have you started using AI, ChatGPT, anything like that as a part of your business?
I live on ChatGPT. Man, I use ChatGPT I use ChatGPT more than I use Google. And I use ChatGPT for just about everything. I mean, I used it to create my email campaigns and my text message campaigns, so I didn't even have to, come up with all that stuff manually. I just gave it a prompt and it did it all for me. Created the entire campaign. It's amazing. So when you know how to use AI, and I think I'm still in a very basic learning phase with AI. Like, I still haven't, figured out everything AI can do for me and how it can ultimately, help me get where I want to go in business. But I've learned how to do a lot of things with it. For example, writing content. I hardly ever, do my own content anymore. ChatGPT does it all. I give it a prompt, tell it what I kind of, a big picture version of what I want it to say, and it does it all for me, man. It's amazing. It's amazing where we are. Technology.
Love it, yeah. Yeah, I know it's moving lightning quick, and it's saves so much time, and also like, man, that's better words than I could have put together myself on that, or that idea would have taken me like an hour to think of, but I probably would have got there eventually, but you got there in like 3 seconds, so that saved me an hour right there. So guys, if you're listening and you haven't started playing with, lead management systems, stuff even just around your automation text, or started using like go high level at the very least as far as the AI side in your business, then please start checking those things out, or you're going to get left behind, honestly. Even in a slow moving industry like insurance, it's starting to move a lot quicker. And
Oh
so
yeah.
please take advantage of these things. And speaking of a few of the things to take advantage of, like, let's talk a little bit about social media and a little bit about Facebook groups as well. You tried to originally post in other Facebook groups and didn't necessarily work out. Maybe some of the responses or how it was perceived. So you made your own. Walk us a little bit through that scenario, and then ultimately what led to creating your own group.
Yeah. So, when I first started, and actually when I first niched down the contractors, I was partnered with a large Facebook group here in Austin. And I was utilizing their Facebook group, right? It was another contractor group, about 50,000 people in there, so it was good. I'd just make one little post saying, hey, whatever the case may be, like I can help save some money, or I just helped an AC guy, get insurance for $150 a month, or whatever the case was. And my inbox would blow up. I mean, just I'd have messages left and right, usually 2 or 3 a day at minimum, sometimes a lot more than that. People asking if I could help them. I remember the very first time I did that, I had, oh man, probably 25 people in my inbox from one post, David. I'm not even joking. One post, 25 people in my inbox trying to get a quote from me, right? I mean, it's incredible. Now, the reason I ultimately created my own Facebook group is because I could see that, well, if something ever went downhill with that Facebook group, or if for some reason the business relationship didn't work out, what was I going to do, right? And so I started creating my own. I created my own Facebook group. I started with a general business group, which is now up to about 16, almost 17,000 people. And then I started an actual contractor group, which is up to almost 5,000 people now. And so I've been using that, and since that partnership with it's a company called Contractor Connection, we've since gone our separate ways. So I ultimately made the right decision, creating my own Facebook group and having my own network where I didn't have to utilize somebody else's.
I love that. Taking control. I just was talking about this on another like podcast recording that I was a guest on, of like taking control of your marketing, your audience, and once again being perceived as authority, but having control over that. And that's an example of you created your audience in a place for them what you're in control of, that you're perceived as the expert, and that you get to provide value to them. I mean, guys, people listening here, how would you like to have 5,000 of your exact target audience that you're in control of, that are seeing you, that see you as an authority and are coming to you? Like, agents dream about. In fact, I don't even think they dream about it, because I don't think they think that can exist. In their minds, it's like, call the next lead and hopefully someone will answer, versus like, I have my exact audience wanting and begging to come talk to me or get my help as a part of that. And so you created your own group, and once again, you have control of what goes on in your own group. What happened next, and tell us a little bit about maybe your lead magnet strategy and how that's worked and helped out.
Oh yeah, man, lead magnets are a game changer. Anybody utilizing lead magnets, your marketing, number one, if you do it right, lead magnets are free or almost free, right? I mean, they're very inexpensive. You can create your own ebook, or you can have one, you can go to Fiverr and get one created for like $20, right? I mean, it's free or almost free. And what that does, it provides value, and it emphasizes that air of authority. Because people are, whether they know it or not, in any niche, right? Insurance gets a little bit of a bad rap sometimes, but that's because of bad education and bad, people have, they work with agents that don't take the time to teach them and educate them on what they need, how, why they need it, that kind of thing. And when you're using these lead magnets and providing that value first, it's it's a game changer. I mean, it's people are, like you said, begging for your help. Not begging, but I mean, in so many words, they come to you and they see you as that authority, and that just puts you a step above just the general, just the person they could just call off of Google, just who, their nearest insurance agent, right? Just general lines.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's a great way to provide value, but I mean, ultimately get to the goal of like being able to get in a conversation with my target audience. Like if I provided some value, now I'm talking to them, and this is where the magic happens when you're talking to someone, right? Like agents spend all day long trying to get in conversations with their audience, whereas, this gives them a reason to connect, start talking with me. I've already provided value, and now we just take the conversation from there, right? And so I love that you're providing value in those and using that as a part of it. And how do you balance, and this is the important question, right? Like, how do you balance giving value without being too salesy, especially from an audience that maybe is like, is this guy going to try to sell me something, right?
That's a great question, man. I'm still, it's a balancing act. It's like, you got a plate spinning on a stick over here, another plate spinning on a stick over here, right? You're trying to balance everything out. Ultimately, the way I create my lead magnets is, I do put my contact information in there. I do, at the end of the lead magnet, whatever it is, whether it's a guide or an ebook or a video, I do, promote my business. But the main theme is providing that value, right? It's not like, hey, call me for a quote. It's more like, hey, if you need help, this is how you get in touch with me.
Mm. And for the community aspect of the group, like how does the community interact or use the group? Are they posting, commenting, connecting on things? Or are you the one primarily providing the content, what's going on and what's happening in that group?
Oh, that group perpetuates itself 95%. I mean, I do, make posts in that group to try and drum up engagement, right? I mean, I've got this automated post in there. It's called Worksite Wednesday, where I it's an automated post from Admin Assist, where it just automatically posts at the same time every single Wednesday. Worksite Wednesday, #Worksite Wednesday. Where are you working? What are you working on today? People post pictures and like, oh, I'm doing this today, I'm doing that today. I also do Small Business Saturdays, where they just promote their business, promote their company in that thread, just to drum up engagement. But 95% of the time it's perpetuating itself. People are posting in there, people are commenting, people are trying to hire different subcontractors, for example, and they get 15, 25, 50 comments sometimes of other subcontractors in the group looking for work. So it does 95% of the work for me.
I love that. And just highlighting the community aspect of what Rick's built, that this isn't just I've got some people in a spot and just have to keep posting in front of them. They find value in the community and connecting with others, and Rick's the guy who put it together, as well as continue to provide value there. So I love that people are like, man, if I'm going to build a group, that means I got to do all this work all the time, try to keep it rolling. But if you've done it well and build the community, it does a lot of that for you, and you get to be the person. Man, thank you, Rick, for putting this together. This is fantastic. I've gotten so much great stuff out of this group. Oh, you're welcome. I'm glad others are posting there, and now I get to bring value also. So, and ultimately, come work with me, right? And so, fantastic. And so let's. Obviously we talked about things changing with some of the technology and, ChatGPT and AI. We talked about social and how this is a really great opportunity to get in, be seen as an authority, connect with my target audience, provide value there. And other stuff is shifting a little bit around sales and, insurance agents and the industry as we move forward as well. And you made kind of the statement that most salespeople will become obsolete unless they shift. What did you mean by that?
What I mean by that, when I say most salespeople become obsolete, what I mean by that is the old way of doing things is dead and gone. I mean, it just is, right? I mean, for example, and let's just say that this is, let's say we're not talking about insurance agents or insurance agencies. Let's say we're talking about a vacuum cleaner, for example, right? If I need to buy a vacuum cleaner, I don't need a salesperson necessarily. I can go to Amazon. I can go to eBay. I can go to Google. I can look at different vacuum cleaners. I can compare prices. I can look at different reviews and ultimately make my decision from there. So the old model salesperson for vacuum cleaners and for most industries is dead, right? I mean, that's just dead and gone. The big thing, I think the most effective thing, you know, as salespeople, we've always been taught that a good salesperson is a great problem solver. But I would shift that a little bit and say that the new model salesperson, the ones who are really killing it today, are great problem finders. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, if somebody doesn't want to talk to a salesperson or to an insurance agent or to a vacuum cleaner salesperson, for example, they don't have to. But that's only if they know what their problem is. If they don't know what their problem is, or if they have more than one problem that they are not quite aware of, that is where the new model salesperson comes in. And that's the most important thing, is shifting your conversation to match, you know, to be more of a problem finder than a problem solver.
I love that, because also most people know, I want to keep it PG, know very little about insurance, or how insurance, I was going to say like jack crap, or about how insurance works and what they even need, or what, you know, so it's not, you know, as much of like a commodity, like, oh, I want bread, here's bread, right? But like, they don't even know what they need or what to put in place. And if they get it wrong, it can really hurt them on that side. And so with that, like, we don't know what we don't know. And so helping them spot these blind spots or these areas of risk that they weren't even aware that were there or they needed, like, yes, the problem finder is discovering, helping them talk through and helping them see these areas. And then I'm just the solution to help fix that stuff for them. But if they don't know they have the problem or what they need, then it's hard to come in and be the solver if they don't even realize they had a problem, right?
Correct. Absolutely. I mean, see, the thing is that in today's day and age, with all these AI tools and Google and all that stuff, you know, like I said, you don't need a salesperson if you don't want one. But if you help them solve that, if you help them find that problem, and then like you're just the obvious answer to that solution, you're just the obvious solution to that problem because you were the one that helped them find it. It just makes it that much more likely that they're going to buy from you.
And I mean, you could solve a lot of problems for these contractors and their businesses. What are some of the most common ones you find yourself solving for them or helping them with?
Absolutely. Well, you know, most of the time, I would say 90% of the time, maybe even more than that, most people who come to me asking for quotes, they just think they need the bare minimum. Oh, I only need general liability. And they've got these blind, they either have a misunderstanding of what general liability is, and I think it might be a little bit of both, misunderstanding and blind spots of like what they need, right? But then, you know, during the course of that conversation, you discover, oh, well, they've got employees, they don't have any workers' comp insurance, they've got company trucks, they don't have any commercial auto, they're still working on their personal auto policy, right? And you start pointing some of these problems out, and then, you know, exploring some of the consequences or the possible consequences of not addressing these concerns, and you know, you go from there. I mean, it just, like I said, it just makes it that much more of a real conversation rather than just the old way of doing things where, and I was guilty of it too, you know, where I would just ask for certain information, like, you know, for example, when I was doing home and auto insurance, mostly home and auto, just what's your address? When was the roof replaced? what other updates have you had? But I wasn't going into like a real, genuine conversation, right? And that's really the basis of the salesperson of today.
I love it. And so with that, you are actually talking about bringing on some additional ones to a producer you currently have as well. That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And if you were training a new agent today, which you will be doing soon, right?
Mm-hmm.
What skill would you start with? What would be something you'd really want to develop out in them that you maybe see others aren't doing?
Well, the first thing is marketing. I mean, the first thing is getting your marketing down, finding, and I think the whole basis and the foundation of that, which is what I learned in TCC, is niching down and finding out who's your target market, who is the person or the ideal client that you want to sell to, right? And everything else becomes easier after that, right? Once you've figured out who your sales avatar is, for example, everything else becomes that much easier, because then okay, well, I've niched down to contractors. Now I've got to market to contract. I've got to fill my Facebook friends list with a bunch of contractors, start a contractor group, market to contractors, and everything else just becomes that much more clear and easier. I think that would be the first thing is learning how to market yourself, because the thing about selling is, right, it's very important knowing how to speak to somebody and knowing how to be that problem finder. But if you don't get them on the phone, well, who are you talking to? Right? So that's the first thing, is you gotta figure out how to get these people on the phone.
Yeah, I mean, because you could be the best salesperson in the world, but if you've got no one to talk to,
exactly,
it doesn't really help you. But if you are a good marketer, and I am able to get those people to come talk with me, they already trust me, see me as authority, and I've done that side really well. I could almost be a terrible salesperson, but at that point, they already want what I can help solve for them and trust me. I don't have to even be good at objection handling or building rapport, taking them through that. I've already done it. And so they're coming to me ready to buy. So I kind of like that. Like, you don't even have to be that great at sales if you did the first part really well and got them coming to you.
Yep. And not only that, but it gives you, a bunch of at-bats. It gives you a bunch of opportunities to practice, right? I mean, if you're trying to learn how to revolutionize your conversation, what better way to do that than to talk to a bunch of people and practice on a bunch of people? But like you said, if you could be the greatest salesperson in the world, if you've got nobody to talk to, you're not going to make any money. And you could be the worst salesperson in the world and close only 1%. But if you got 100 people a day asking for quotes, I mean, eventually you're going to get some, right? It may be a while, but you're going to eventually get some. So,
and also with that approach where they already know you, trust you, have and you've provided really good value in them coming to you and helping find a solution, even if you weren't the solution, even if that wasn't something that made sense for them right then or wasn't the solution, you'll still get referred out of that. You'll still get connected. Mm-hmm. They'll still be like, man, I love you, Rick. I know this wasn't right now, or I'll be getting my business set up later down the road or whatever. But you know what? You've been so amazing. I've got some referrals for you. Whereas if you're working a lead and calling leads, if they're not purchasing from you or putting a policy in place, then you're not down the road getting a referral of who was that guy that called me 3 months ago? I don't know who that was. It was a random call, right? And so it's nice to be able to continue to have these relationships that are developed, because it is relational versus transactional, right? And you get to be a real person in front of this group and who you are and how you help, and you get to build these relationships, which is super powerful and feels probably more fun too. And I remember you mentioning at some point, hey, I've learned how through the closers clicking, you guys how to go on social media, get all the business I want when I want or ever off of that. And so, yeah, if I do want to take some time off or trip time myself, I know how to go bring business versus where is my next person I'm talking to coming from.
Absolutely. And that's one of the, I think that's one of the lifestyle things, right? I mean, because, the old way of doing things, you're cold calling or you're working internet leads, right? You're glued to your phone, you're glued to your computer. You can't go and do things. You can't, go to the gym. You can't go ride your bike. You can't go to a movie, or you can't do any of that stuff because you're tied to your chair. But I would say one of the greatest things that I got from TCC is learning how to utilize my Facebook group so that I am not tied, or not just my Facebook group, but also my profile. I am not tied to my chair. I can go and do what I want. And, if somebody messages me and asks for a quote, well, I mean, if I'm out and about, I can message them back and say, yeah, I'll get back with you later, or, book an appointment with me, which now 90% of my stuff is booked appointments, because at one point I was just getting so much I couldn't do it all. And so I had to, put some kind of thing in place to sort of filter out some of the tire kickers. But I mean, like I said, middle of the day, I mean, we started this 5 p.m. my time. I was out riding on my motorcycle from like 2 to 4:30, right? And the old way of doing that, I couldn't do that. There's no way I could leave my desk and leave my phone or do anything other than work and be glued to my chair, waiting for that Google call to come in, or waiting for somebody to get back with me. There was just no way. But with this, I can.
And I mean, how that's super important for us too, is that kind of location independence, time independently.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what agents partly get in this industry for, or want, but then find themselves tied down
Freedom.
to the calling. And
Yeah.
and so when I know I can have business come to me and that's happening, then yeah, I can create freedom and processes, and cool, I can have a producer help out with that, or just them booking appointments. So just at the time slots I have open, or I'm talking to people. That's a problem most would love to have, of, oh, I got too much. Just let me now, structure this, kick out the tire kickers versus anybody who's, possibly mentions my name, please talk to me, right? Because I need someone, right? So it's a very, very different. And we just about a month ago spent 2 weeks in Mexico working from there and visiting a team member, and ate I think I gained 10 pounds from eating all the food in that local city, but it was amazing, and got to go out on tours, explore everything, but while still getting work done as well, because that's today's world, how it can be done and how it works. So I can still provide an amazing experience and helping clients, but also have the freedom to that lifestyle that you want, right? So
Absolutely.
And part of that is continued growth, continued development, us continuing to get better at what we do. And so where do you go for growth as far as books or mentors, routines? What are some things you recommend?
Yeah. I mean, so I'm a big reader. Every single morning I wake up, I have my coffee or an energy drink, one of the two. I make my breakfast, and then I read. It's, everybody's heard readers are leaders, right? And that's absolutely true in today's world, just as true today as it was 1,000 years ago, right? I mean, readers they're leaders. And so I have developed a morning routine where I read every single morning. I get through maybe 2 or 3 books or so per month.
Nice.
And, a lot of them are personal development type books. I finished one not too long ago. I don't know if you've heard of The Laws of Human Nature by Robert Greene. Same guy who wrote The 48 Laws of Power.
Okay. Yeah.
And so, I read a lot of those types of books, and trying to learn how to, how human nature works, and all that stuff. One book that I've recently, and I'm still reading actually, it's a book called To Sell is Human. Right here, I have it right next to me, by Daniel H. Pink.
Okay.
Now, this book is one of the books that opened my eyes to the new model of selling, and being more of that problem finder versus problem solver. So I read a lot of books. I listen to podcasts. I watch YouTube videos. That kind of thing is really what gives me inspiration.
of that continuous development, learning, and just things that shift how we perceive something of like a whole key part of our business, like sales on that side, and that new perspective that allows us to kind of go forward, especially in today's world, like we talked about earlier, with like the speed of technology and AI and where this is going, to where that trust and that connection, the relationships becomes even more important as what's real, what's not, like, and, I want to work with a person, and, how do I have this connection happen as a part of that? And I think that's going to be a big shift as a part of it, because honestly, like, AI is getting pretty good at stuff. Showing Elle and then Amy a video on TikTok of these dogs on diving boards, doing Olympic diving flips into the pool. And the very first one, both of them were like, "That's amazing!" And then wait a second, this might not be real. And I was like, yeah. Once it got to the giraffes and the water bisons and stuff, or water buffalo, then yeah, it's it's probably AI. But still, that's where that trust, that connection, and everything is so key. And that's where, how do we continue to develop our processes for that, our learning and approach to the modern methods of doing things, and then, even our own communities. So Rick, I wanted to thank you so much for taking the time to come share with us. I really look forward to coming out Austin, get some barbecue, connecting up a little bit more on that side, and getting to hang out. Maybe I'll get a ride on the bike. But with that, I would love if you can tell everybody listening, like, where can they follow you, plug in what you're doing, and connect with you? Where's the best place for them to do that?
Yeah. Well, so you can connect with me on Facebook. That's really the main place. You can also visit my website. I think you said it earlier, contractorsinsurancetexas.com.
Mm-hmm.
You don't really, you can send me a message there, but it's not really connecting, right? But the main place is going to be Facebook. I don't really have any other social medias. I do pretty much everything on Facebook, which is, it's hard to believe that you can take something like Facebook and really just turn it into this revenue generating machine, but yeah, that's really the main place where people can connect. And you can also check my website out, or my business Facebook page, which is just Contractors Insurance Group.
Oh, that, you're right. Like, if I go back to like high school with Facebook and stuff, it's amazing, this platform that we were showing pictures of what we were eating, and like, David feels like going to school today, or not going to school, like David's sick today, right? Is now this multi-million-dollar, building businesses on this platform in an amazing way. Like, who would have thought, right? We're using social media for business versus like, posting cat memes, right? Which, if I remember a little bit, you like your memes a little bit there. So,
oh yeah, I love my memes, man.
Important social media strategies, guys. Know your memes, right? So I love it. You'll have to connect with Kelly on she's doing all these taco memes and stuff around insurance and some other stuff there too.
I think I saw that. Or taco truck memes. Yeah.
You'll have to have a meme off, right? So everybody will get to enjoy that. So thank you once again, Rick, for coming and joining. I really appreciate the time. Guys, if you go to jumpstartgonow.com/podcast, you can get the show notes. You can get the links that Rick just mentioned. We'll have all that there for you guys. Thank you guys for joining us on this episode of the Modern Insurance Agent Podcast. We'll catch you on the next one.